All right, BobalosRex here, and you know what it is. It's what's going on with 11.2.7, the warning. We are now in the final patch of the War Within. So, this goes live in like a couple of days, December 2nd. This is coming out a little late, I know, but let's get into it. So, you can do, it says continuing the War Within campaign, but it's basically the Midnight Lead Into campaign. So, you can hang out with Air Tour, hang out with the family, and do that little quest line. Then we have housing early access, which I'll talk about in a bit. If you paid for Midnight, you can get into that, but we'll talk about that in a bit. Then we got the new and returning player experiences update. So basically, they updated Exile's Reach a little bit with some NPCs. I don't know if it's gonna help keep new people. I don't know what new people. I can't begin to deal with that issue with how long I've been playing. But for returning players, they've also updated. Instead of just giving you the armor, they actually kind of reteach you how to play the game a bit in Arathi Highlands. And that's an option that you have at the start screen. So when you start, you can be like, this character is eligible for the returning player experience. You can click that and do that and have that for that character that you log into. Then we got new lore walking. All right, so there's going to be some new lore walking. The Elves of Quel'Thalas, again, midnight preparation. All right, midnight hype. We also got the Pandaren Heritage Armor quest. So if you have a level 50 Pandaren, you can go embark on that quest. And I liked it a lot. I thought it was a really good quest. There was like one thing I would change about it, but otherwise, I think it was great. And I did it very early on, so hopefully updates have made it a little bit smoother. And then we also got Turbulent Timeways. It's 4 for the achievement, but it's technically the 5th, but we'll talk more about that in a second. And then we got Brawlers Guild, which isn't going to be on patch day. It's coming a week later on December 9th. And as far as we know, people who have already been invited can just walk in. That's how it worked for me. I don't know how we're supposed to be getting invites otherwise. Unless it just works on other players inviting you, then you may gotta get a friend with an invite to hook you up. But they should be getting people in. We just don't know exactly how yet. All right, let's talk about Turbulent Timeways. So it's gonna go from the week of December 2nd to the week of February 3rd. So it technically ends on February 10th. All right, it's gonna go from 10 weeks. It also brings Shadowland Time Walking, which brings a new vendor, which brings a whole ton of goodies, which is why you should have a whole ton of Time Warp badges saved up. And if you don't, well, you have 10 weeks to farm Time Warp badges. All right. There's going to be the Master of the Turbulent Timeways 4 achievement, which will get you a voucher for one of these mounts. The rest you will have to buy. And yeah, so 10 weeks of that. So we got Shadowlands, Mist, Classic, Legion, Kata, Burning Crusade, Warlords, BFA, Wrath, and then Shadowlands again. And we're basically all caught up with Turbulent Timeways, right? Every expansion now has time walking until we get into Midnight, where the next one to add would be Dragonflight time walking already, which is kind of crazy. But here we are. It also, this post I'm going to link goes over all the vendor rewards. So it does show you can buy the other mount as well as this mount returning. You can buy for Time War badges as well as the previous Master of the Turbulent Timeways mounts, which I think is great. I like that they put these on vendors. So there's no FOMO with these Time Warp mounts. You'll be able to get them in the future. So that's good. So that's Turbulent Timeways. Basically, in my opinion, I think it's running all the way till pre-patch. All right. Maybe it hits, maybe this last week, February 3rd is pre-patch too. So you get 1 week of Turbulent Timeways and pre-patch. And then the like cult event starts. So we'll have to see. But I'm excited. Turbulent Timeways, good way to level. Now let's move on to the next thing. So this development post has a few things I wanted to talk about. So Horrific Visions Revisited. So it's telling us that we can now queue for either Orgrimmar's Stormwind. All right. I have to show y'all something later about that. But there are some UI and accessibility issue updates. So you can now press and hold the single button rotation. Guards at capital cities will now tell you where training dummies are. But there is also this change here. So the default behaviors for A and D in WoW is going to be changed from turning to strafe. On login, existing players may be prompted with the choice to set their movement keys to use strafe or keep them to turn their characters. Be ready for that. I got hit with that on the alpha and it goofed up many of my characters. If you want to keep it the same way it's always been, be ready for this prompt. If you want to change it, then have a good time with the update. And if you don't use WASD at all like that, then you don't even got to worry. This is for different kind of players. Then it also talks about the catch-up experience. All right. And then a new tutorials tab had been added to the adventure guide, so players can use that anytime. I'll show that off in a second. Then we got various gameplay tutorials have been added or update, which is good. Item comparison is now on by default, so you don't have to shift to do that anymore. And then they updated the little cursor here. Now, before we get into housing, let's go over these little changes. So see, you can kind of see the cursor is a little updated. But let's get into that. So we also got the Tome of Histories by Cho. I mentioned the lore walking, but there's also the story recap. So you can do the World Soul War Within story recap. Begin that here. Do that. There's a little tome there. That's cool and all. We also got the World Soul Searching achievement. So there's that to do, which gets you decor and the big mount. Look at this. The big mount. All right, so this is going to be something achievement hunters probably already get automatically logging in, but it's something to do if you haven't done, as it does get decor. Now, there was also the skywriting update. So look at my bar. As you can see, there's no more vigor bar. It is instead, we just use skywriting on charges. And we also have a demount or dismount button here. So that's kind of nice. Now, I was mentioning the horrific vision. So let's head over here. I am on the PTR and it does not give me the option. So hopefully that's fixed when this actually goes live. But I just wanted to mention that. So if anyone had their hopes up, be prepared just in case. Also, you can tell Dennis if you want to be quiet. All right, so you have the option to turn back on his thing and to turn off his /say. So you can shut him up or not. It's up to you. Oh, the item comparison. So here, I wanted to show the item comparison. So look how it does it automatically. It even has a little updated, like you see the equip looks a little different. So that is now automatic. All right, so the Horde Portal Room is the one that got the most updates. The Alliance one did get some updates, some stuff rearranged. You know, you can take the Alliance one is going to be neater. Let's be real. But let's go over the Horde one. So we got the Neighborhood, which I'm going to show off in a second. We got Dornagal up top now. Jade Forest, Crystal Song, Valdraken, and Oribos all at the top, right? Those are the ones at the top. Now, down here, some of these kind of make sense, some of these don't. But let's get into the ones down at the bottom. So we got Sazuna, Zandalar, Shatrath, Caverns of Time, Ashran, and Silvermoon. But this is old Silvermoon, not new Silvermoon. The new Silvermoon portal is actually going to be upstairs. You can actually see that on the beta. But that's where those are going to be. Now, I do want to show off the neighborhood stuff, but there's going to be a panda dude that hopefully non-early access people can talk to. And this guy is just going to help you get some decor. Do a little quest from him, get decor. But everybody is going to should be able to head into here, because we're going to talk about early access here. But let's head into Razorrend Shores and talk about housing early access. So, take your claim with housing early access and come home December 2nd. So, housing for everybody. If you are level 10 and up, you can go get housing. If you have Midnight. If you don't have Midnight, you can visit neighborhoods and collect housing items and even do various activities, including quests from NPCs. All right. So I'm hoping this includes the lumber thing, which I'm going to talk about in a second. But then like I said, if you have it, you'll be able to do the housing tutorial, join a neighborhood, either a public neighborhood or make one with your guild. Have your guild make one. Whoever, all the people who paid ahead can get in your guild neighborhood. You can claim a house, make a house, decorate it with flair, and begin leveling your home. Now, most of the leveling for housing in this early access is going to come from decor collection. All right. Endeavors aren't active yet, or that's what this is telling me. They're not having endeavors active yet. So the only way to level up your housing, if you're finding yourself short of room, short of decor slots, is going to be collecting decor. So professions are going to be a big deal. Now, the thing about getting decor with professions, so you have all the achievements I showed off and all that stuff to get decor. You can go run dungeons and all that stuff to get decor. Here's the Visions quest, by the way. You can accept quests there. And then you have tutorials right here in the adventure log. There are tabs down here, as you can see. So you got tutorials and then Visions of a Shattered Sun. But yes, housing. So the quest to get started on professions is going to come from this guy right here, the lumberjack. If you aren't early access and you can get in here and get this quest, this is going to be how you make money, because all the housing profession decor requires lumber from a given expansion. Lumber is warband bound. So if you want to sell decor, which is not warband bound, you have to farm yourself a ton of lumber. So hopefully non-early access people can get started on this lumber, because this is going to be how you make money selling decor, farming lumber, making decor, and selling it. Because this is going to be what limits you. You can have all the old resources piled up that you want. This is going to be what you need to get patched. This is going to be what you need to get patched day. All right. This axe, this quest, and the wood, the lumber that you need to farm. All right. And that's basically it. What's going on? Couple of quests, Panda Heritage, time walking, housing early access. You know, I'm going to link these pages, but this sums it up. All this good stuff. This if you paid. This a week later. And real quick, if you didn't know, when you do get your house, Blizzard is actually doing cross promotions again. I wonder if they're trying to get Hearthstone. There are Hearthstone players being like, what do I got to do to get this card back to get a house in WoW? Well, to get a house right now in WoW, if you don't play WoW, you have to buy midnight. All right. If you wait, you don't need to do much. If you wait until midnight comes out, March 2nd, you don't have to you pay a lot of money. But if you want to get a house right now, you need early access, and you will get your Welcome Home achievement and get Xal'atath Symmetra with some other goodies, a Hearthstone card and card back, and StarCraft 2 stuff. No Diablo 4 stuff. No Diablo 4 stuff. But there's all that stuff coming in the patch, and that's what's going on. Now, later tonight, I'm going to have a what to do first, and it's going to really get into it. But for the most part, if you're a PvP or Raider, M+er, there's nothing new really coming out in that regard, but there's a ton of collectible stuff to do, housing, and all that good stuff. So anyways, I'll see y'all next time. Bye-bye.